Yes.
Okay, just make sure.
Okay. But yeah, so like in general, like, you know, the trans community can be very shallow, and it's just crazy to me that the I feel like the trans activist group, if they're not with the um, non-binary crowd, then they get no
Well, I
shine.
think I think NBs are kind of their own thing. I'm in the camp that NBs are kind of they're their own deal, and I think as it should be because they have a. I personally, and this is just me. Um, in my own head, I draw a distinction between trans and NB. And I
Oh,
think we
I
had this
definitely
discussion.
do. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I get called a turf or
Yeah.
anti NB. And I think the the problem is like how we look at it. Um, Especially when you come from the 90s, or come like maybe it is I'm a boomer or whatever. Like they like to call me a boomer and a gatekeeper, but
Yeah.
it's
I think I actually heard somebody tell you that once.
yeah, but I think it's because of the fact that I fought for trans rights for I've been fighting for trans rights since I was 14 years old. So I've been fighting for gay kids, I've been fighting for trans kids, I've been fighting for marriage equality, like on the front lines. I wasn't a back figure. I was actually on the front lines doing it. So when I see so I have this gatekeeping thing. So when I see like these men with glitter beards and men with or not men, I shouldn't say men, but you get what I mean. Like they look like a man. Um
Yeah.
and I see like
Can you hear me okay like this?
yes. And like when I
Okay, yeah, I'm like
yeah. So like when I see like a Daniel Radcliffe in a dress, and he's not and they're not tucked, saying that they're a woman and they want to go into women facilities, I feel like that plays right into Republican spheres, and then they use that in their publications to make more fear and more transphobia. And that
yeah.
hurts to me, in my opinion, unpassable trans women that are just trying as hard as they can to look the part, look feminine as hard as they can. And because that fear is being pushed to these right wing kind of women, or people that could become right wing, um,
Yeah.
when they see an unpassable trans woman, even though she's spending her time, you know, putting her makeup on, doing all the right things, trying to put a wig on, or if they don't have any hair, they're trying to pass as best as they can. And they go into the woman's restroom because of these non-binary people. I feel like they're ruining it, and causing more harm than good. And so that is my problem with the uh, non-binary crowd, and
Well, what do you do about it?
they
I mean,
they see it as me being a turf, which I don't understand. I'm a turf because I'm trans, but they say I'm a turf, and they call me a gatekeeper. But I just think if they really, I just feel like they shouldn't be stepping on. If they want to have their own messaging, great. Like if you want to talk about being non-binary and this, that, and the other, you want to have a gender war, great, fine. I'm totally for it. I'm 100% for you fighting for your rights, etc. But don't be stepping on years of work of trans women and trans men fighting for the right to be treated as how they want to be treated, and whatnot. And don't be playing into Republican narratives that there's no such thing as gender, or and then say that you're transgender. I wish they would not say they're transgender, and that's my problem, because I feel like it confuses people. It confuses the masses when you say I'm transgender, because they don't straight people, because I like coming from a very conservative area, a little town they don't understand the difference between a trans woman, a transgender woman, or a trans man, trans woman, and a non-binary person. You know,
I didn't until 2 years ago.
yeah. So like, and
I was dating one that didn't know the difference.
Yeah. So, can you? Oh, I gotta tell Megan I'm back on.
Am I echoing?
No, you're not. But I gotta tell Megan I'm back on. I'm telling Megan Chevalier I'm back on. Because I had to end the radio show because I ran out of time, so that's why I started it over.
Oh, okay.
But in general, you know, that's my big issue with the trans community is because we allow, you know, lesbians to have their own space and time. We allow gay men to have their own space and time, to have their own talking points, their own initiatives or whatever. We allowed lesbians to do it. We allow bisexual people to do it. We allow queer people to do it. But when it comes to trans women and trans men, we get stepped on. And the non-binary crowd do it a lot. And they say, oh, you're being a TERF because you believe your way. And even with Blair White, I know a lot of people hate Blair White because she's very right-wing and she's very, divisive.
Yeah, she's pretty.
Yeah, she's very pretty, but she's pretty, but she's very divisive. But she has the right to feel how she feels, and she has the right to express herself as a trans woman. Like, that's my problem with it, because do we police a Republican woman like that? No, we don't. We let Megan.
No, but I don't think she's genuine about it. That's the problem I have with her.
Well, I agree. I believe that she's a Milo. She's a Milo.
Yeah, exactly.
She knows where the money is, and the money is throwing your own community under the bus. She's very intelligent. I'll give her that, and she knows how to. She's a grifter. That's what I'll say. She's a grifter. But I understand it's hurting people, and I understand that her voice is. But at the same time, it's actually changing some people's minds, too. Like, it works both ways. Some Republicans, because she has Republican talking points, are saying, well, I'm all right with this type of trans woman. Or I'm all right.
But that goes all the way back, because I'm from the South, so I don't know how familiar you are with the Deep South, but in the Deep South, we have this thing. We always have tokens. We call them the good ones.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a black guy. The black guy, this goes back to slavery. The black guy who kisses the white guy's ass, he's one of the good ones.
Yeah.
If it's a trans person who tells you what you want to hear, she's one of the good ones.
Well, exactly.
The good one is just it's a kind of Uncle Tom.
Well, basically, what's her face? Candace Owen is, or was. She's lost, and Dave Rubin. Like, they basically were they were basically that type,
it's the oppressed group that tells the oppressor exactly what they want to hear. That's good.
Yeah. So, but I get that from my Republican fans all the time, or Republican people. I talk to Republicans all the time, and they're totally fine with me being trans, but they're not fine. Like, I even get that from some of my Republican friends. Like, they're fine with me being trans, but then when they look at a non-binary person, or someone looks, off, and it's not unpassable trans women they have a problem with it. Like, I could show them, like, I think I posted a picture of a older transitioner that, clearly is on hormones, but, obviously she still has a very manly looking face. Kind of like Jennifer, like, if you look at Jennifer Pritzker, who's a billionaire and now she's trans, like, but they say, well, you can tell that person took the proper steps and they're trying. what they have a problem with is like somebody walking into the bathroom or a locker room with a beard or looking like Daniel Radcliffe in a dress, untucked, walking into women's spaces, because it does open it up that you as a man or my husband as a man could go and put a dress on and say that day, well, I identify as a woman, and he could just walk in and he gets to see boobies and everything else. And I, as a trans woman, have a problem with that. I have an issue with. I'm sorry if I saw Mrs. Daniel Radcliffe walk in to the bathroom, I would be taken aback. I would be like, what is it? What the hell's going on? Like, even though I'm a trans woman, I did drag for years. I did drag with gay men that dressed up as women. I would still be taken aback if I was in a public bathroom and that person walked in.
I think you want to call her Henrietta Potter.
Yeah. But like, and so that's why I think that the left has gone so PC. So I think a lot of people might be Trump supporters too, or become Republican or Republican leaning, because we have gone so crazy on the labels and the policing and losing common sense, like what's acceptable and like what's not acceptable. I'm sorry, I just don't find it acceptable that a person with a beard and looks basically like any other man, like could be a frat boy trick or whatever. A frat boy could be dressing up in a dress and coming into the women's bathroom or into the women's locker room. You have to think about kids see that too. Like little girls are going to be in that room. And if this guy obviously has a big penis. He looked like he had a big bulge. So he's got a big penis. And a child sees that. I'm sorry, I find that offensive. I'm not Christian, I'm not conservative, I'm not Republican, but I'm a stepmother, and I would find that offensive for me. And I'm a trans woman, and then those people would tell me, "Oh my God, you are discriminating against me. You are disgusting. You're this, that, you're that, and the other." And I'm sorry, that's the same thing with like porn. I get mad that people talk about porn all the time and they want to censor us. But like, I make the same arguments. Like my profile on Twitter, it's 18 plus because I post dirty stuff on there. So people that aren't 18 plus, like today, I was talking to somebody like, "Oh, it looks like your profile is going to be banned." I'm like, "No, that's because you can't see my profile because you're under 18." That's what I was telling them, because I was debating with them about Bernie, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that," and that's called being responsible. But the same with like, I think that I think that all tube sites should be banned from the internet. Like, in my opinion, I think that all tube sites, like porn tube sites, should be banned from the internet, or you have to prove that you're 18 to view that content, or like the same with like adult websites. You should have to, prove that you're 18 to get in, because even though, we're not the nannies or whatever, kids have phones. You can watch porn on your phone. You can watch, whatever. And because more and more parents are buying their kids phones by the time they're like, 10, 11 now.
That gets into a lot. I mean, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I actually agree with you.
Yeah.
But the only problem is that gets within so many privacy issues in terms of actually executing that. I mean, when you get down to the logistics of it, I mean, it's a good idea. But logistically, the kind of privacy intrusions that would entail would be unbelievable.
Well, I'm just saying, but what I'm saying in general, though, is that the reason I'm using that as a point is that it's about being responsible, and I think it's irresponsible when there's children in the bathroom and you're not going to at least tuck your damn penis in a dress when you go into, because when men wear shorts, or when men wear pants, you can't really see their bulge that much. Even when they're in their jogging pants at the gym. Like, we
Speak for
yeah,
yourself.
well, yes, let's be honest. Like a lot of us women do look. Like we do look. Like a lot of men don't realize that. But yeah, we look when you guys are wearing those like jogging pants and jogging shorts. We look. We just don't say anything. But we tell each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We talk amongst ourselves. But
Oh man, that's not gonna end well for me.
but like a lot of times, most of the time you don't see that. So like, and obviously those men aren't going into the ladies' restroom. But when somebody walks in with that big old dong and a dress coming in, kids are gonna be like, "What's going on there?" You know what I mean? And I feel like it's irresponsible that they're in there doing that. So
well, I think that there's one of two things that have to happen here. Then either there have to be non-gendered bathrooms, which is fine. A lot of places have those. There have to be single unit bathrooms, or we'd have to pass some kind of law where it says whatever gender it is says on your license, that's the bathroom you use.
Yeah,
it would have to.
I like that.
Yeah.
Or they should make.
We had some kind of bathroom law.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't have a problem with bathrooms so much because of the fact that there's a stall, etc. But like, I'm talking about like ladies' locker rooms where we obviously, because like I've never seen like a naked woman I've never seen a naked woman in a bathroom, but you do see naked women in locker rooms. Like, but most of it, but like, it's not like what men would think. Like, I know what men, like, they put their like legs up. Men are like, from what I've been told by my husband and ex-boyfriends, like old men will like walk around nude in the men's locker room, or they'll put their legs up on like the bench with their legs spread with their dick hanging out or something. Like that's what men.
It's really foul. There's like some war dogs walking around there, man.
But women don't do that. A lot of us women, like when we're in the bathroom, we like open the locker door and then we cling up to the locker door to undress and put our clothes on. I mean, it's sometimes you see like women that are older like walk around with topless or whatever, but like you don't see like Playboy model girls like walking around like, oh, my boobs are out, like that doesn't happen. Like it's not like a porno, but in general, you do see naked women.
Not really my fantasies.
Yeah, I mean, in general, you do see naked women, and a lot of times they do. If there's a spa or a steam room, they do get topless there. So like women will like sit in there topless because like they're trying to get their skin to get the steam or whatever. So yeah, like I do have issue with like people like that being in locker rooms like that, because if I have my tits out, I don't want a guy.
That would make me uncomfortable too. I'll be honest, it's like I'll flip that around, right? If I'm sitting there in a locker room and I got my junk hanging out in a locker room and Buck Angel walks in, that's gonna make me a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, be real.
Yeah.
A little.
Yeah.
I would cross my legs.
Well, you have to. I think Buck's pretty much into women, but.
Well, I'm just saying. No, I mean, I would totally do Buck Angel. Don't get me wrong. I totally would. But I mean, or even I've got some like non-binary friends who are women. Yeah. That I know they are. It's like you almost can't tell. But if they walked into a locker room and I was naked, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna get out of here now.
Well, that's my thing too. Like you have all these. I feel like the non-binary people are like the emo. Remember the emos back in the 90s, like the emo people.
I love emo.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people. I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying there's a big. I think there's a big chunk of them that are like the emo people. Like they want to be They want to be. They're trying. I'm not saying they're trying to get attention, but they want to be the outlandish, the freaks of the world. You know what I mean? They want to be the ones that are the provocateurs. That's what I should say. They want to be
I got that line from the emo song going through my head right now, right?
Yeah. But I think some of them want to be the provocateurs. That's what I should say. And I feel like some of them do feel like if they're provocateurs and they're challenging the system, that maybe will open people's minds, but I feel like at the same time it's hurting people. Um, because I'm sorry, like you can't like you have like people like who was it? Jamila Jamil or whatever her name is, and then the Rosario Dawson saying that they're genderqueer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they live totally as cis women or like totally as women, and then they're married. They're in love with men, and they're basically living as women, look like women, living as women, all the gender roles of a woman. And then they're like, well, I don't identify as a gender, or I don't identify as, man or woman. I'm like, well, okay, then why are you taking on all the gender roles of a woman? So that's what I don't understand a lot of times about the non-binary community, because a lot of times they're like, I don't identify as anything, and then but then at the same time they're taking on either a man gender role or a woman gender role. Because back in the day, a genderqueer, when in the 90s, when I was an activist, a big activist at the time, the genderqueers of the 90s were lesbians. They were lesbians that were trying to fight the patriarchy. So they would wear men's clothing to say they could be just as manly as any man. That was the point. So they wasn't like the butch lesbian or whatever. A lot of them did that because they were like, well, I'm going to fight the patriarchy. I'm going to wear pantsuits, and I'm going to wear flannels, and I'm going to be a man. I'm going to do all a man's job, blah, blah, blah. And that's what the genderqueers were at the time. And now it's kind of like changed over the years. But that's how it started. And so like I laugh a lot of time about like how much people don't know about, like, Kate Boystein was a big one that wrote the genderqueer stuff, etc. But it's just silly to me that they're like putting that on the trans community, because in general, trans women aren't trying to start a gender war. Trans men aren't trying to start a gender war. They just want to be accepted as a man like you are. And I want to be accepted as a woman like my sister is, or any other woman is.
Well, the problem with that is the experiences are totally different. And I think you and I talked about that on Facebook.
Well, my experience is way different than other.
The binary trans experience is totally different than the non-binary. You live totally, completely different lives.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the species problem. It's how do you draw arbitrary lines around fluid concepts? Like, we invent species. Species don't exist in nature.
Yeah.
We just draw lines around fluid concepts.
Yeah.
But it's the same problem. How do you distinguish between two when they definitely overlap? And what do you do about it?
Yeah. And that's another thing, like, in general, like, trans people, I think, take such great offense to it because they feel like they're being mocked. That's another thing, like, that the non-binary people don't understand. They feel like they're being mocked because for years they've been teased by Republicans about, well, if I want to be a bear, I can be a bear. Or if I want to be this, I can be this, and yada, 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 yada. And they've been...
And think about how long that was in the media, too.
Yeah,
how much media
and they've been terrorized for years. And then now you have this big, huge movement called the non-binary crowd that is basically playing up to every single different Republican talking point that's ever was. So a lot of trans women feel like, oh, they're mocking us. Like, is this the gay community trying to infiltrate the trans community and mock us? That's how many of them feel. Like, they feel like the gay movement, because a lot of the non-binaries just are basically gay men with glitter beard, with glitter beards or whatever. And then they're like, well, I'm genderqueer.
You know what, though? Here's the thing. I wonder if over the long enough term, that may actually be a beneficial thing for the term. Because if you have, like, the glitter beard community, they come to be considered trans. And by comparison, you come to be considered just female, or Buck Angel's just a dude,
Well, I think that's eventually what's going to happen.
That sort of moves you and the binary trans into the cis community almost, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, because I think that's what's going to happen, though. I think that, well, I think not just because of that. I think in general, like surgery is going to get better, hormones are going to get better. We're transitioning younger. Kids are transitioning younger and younger, so they're not going to have to deal with a lot. The reason why a lot of trans women don't pass that well is because testosterone takes over their body, and they have to go through puberty. So if they can bypass the puberty that a man goes through, they already have a much better transitioning power. And then
We're talking just male to female anyway.
Yeah, male to female.
I don't think it matters.
Well, no, but I'm just saying for female. I'm saying for trans women. Because I always tell Buck, like, I'm like, Buck, you can be the voice. You're the voice of the trans. I don't try to speak for trans men because that's their criteria, that's their area. I mostly speak on trans women issues because I'm a trans woman. But for trans women in general, they're gonna get more and more passable, and the surgeries are gonna get better. Like like as far as like they're like right now they're growing like penises and vaginas in labs, and they're already implementing those into women that were born with like half vaginas or non-working vaginas, or they had like mutilation or whatever the case may be, and they're implementing those into women right now, and they're working and everything's going great. And the same for the penises. Like the men that got their penises cut off or had an accident or whatever the case may be, they can use these lab-grown penises and attach them now to men that have these issues. And
okay, so the obvious question here is, as a dude, can I get Ron Jeremy's thing?
I don't know. Like I think that's what's eventually going to happen. I think that they're going to start having. I know they have male augmentation because I know a few porn stars that have done it in the porn industry.
Like a dick graft. Like you just.
Well, what they do is they cut in the middle of the penis and they elongate it so it goes even longer, or whatever. Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, they do it in Florida, actually.
That sounds horrible.
Dr. Reed does it in Florida. I think he's in Fort Lauderdale or somewhere like that. Or no, maybe Miami. But he does it. But yeah, a lot of male porn. Like, I know 3 or 4 male porn stars that have done it on the gay and straight side. Oh, sorry. But I was.
Yeah, I'm in the booties.
Yeah, that's okay. But I was saying, like, they did that. But now I think what's going to happen is eventually they're going to have designer vaginas and designer penises. So if you want a vagina like this, we can implement that into you. If you want a penis like this, you get this kind of penis or whatever. So I think that's what's eventually going to happen. But what I was saying about trans women is eventually trans women are going to be able to have babies. Trans women are going to have like natural vaginas because like they'd be able to grow these vaginas that work just like a real vagina. So there's not going to be a lot of difference eventually, I think, between man and woman. Because I think eventually they might even be able to have gay men having babies or whatever. If men want to have a baby, they can have a baby. I think that's the way. Like, I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist, so I believe that technology is just going to get better and better and better, and eventually we're just going to figure out the creation to do all this stuff. Like, look, like every day we're figuring out different things, and I'm just hoping that before I die, they're going to be able to implant your brain into a younger body so you can keep on living. Because I'm obviously an atheist, so I want to keep on living. I don't want to die. I just think of like they're gonna have like a pod body or android body or whatever they could have in the future, where you could, because they're already saying that they can upload your thoughts in like 10-15 years to a computer, so you could eventually
I saw that on a show too, and that
Yeah.
seems like hell on earth. That seems like a really hellish dystopia. I'll be honest with you.
You do think that? I don't mind. I think that's kind of like, because I guess I'm an atheist, so I like life. I want to keep on living it or learning and whatever, and seeing how life changes, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, I'm not a fan of living. I'm not a fan of living in the dirt, and I'm not a fan of being set on fire. So, um,
well, see, that's where we differ very much in that.
Yeah.
Because I come from sort of the Japanese philosophy of, I already quoted Lao Tzu earlier, but I don't know if you noticed, but I'm a big fan of, when your work is done, retire. I hope at some point my work, my appointed purpose in life will be finished, and then I can retire, i.e. die in peace, and be left alone and not have to deal with anyone's bullshit ever again.
Right.
That is my goal in life, is to finish whatever the hell I'm here to do the job I'm here to do, and then die. And I will be happy that way. So we are different in that.
Yeah, we're definitely different in that way, because at the moment, like life, and I want to keep on learning, and I just feel like as time goes on, technology is going to get better. Hopefully life gets better, especially if we can figure out the climate thing and everything else, and that we can get more progressive, or we can get more rule of law. I'm positive about the future than most people are. Like, even though right now we're living in hell with Trump, I'm more positive than most people, and I think that eventually we're gonna get the climate. I think we're gonna get climate control. We're gonna get better at climate. I think that right now they're trying to figure out how to control the weather, and I think they already can kind of do that.
I have something for you. Something for you on those lines. One of my climate policies, if you go and look, if you're gonna have to Google it, it's on my friend's site right now. If you Google ANX, the letters ANX, my name, Richard Rowe, and then engineering Earth. Mm-hmm. I wrote about a 4,000-word article on geoengineering.
Yeah.
And on geoengineering and some of my basic climate policies, like the Heavy Metal Initiative and all that. But I went into actually a feasibility study for creating an actual, well, they've been talking about it for a long time, but it's a heat shield for Earth.
Right.
Except I realized a long time ago it's not going to work with the standard materials, because it blocks all wavelengths. But you know what will work perfectly is salt water. We can actually spray salt water in the form of snowflakes in a very high orbit that will absorb infrared radiation and emit it back out into space while allowing the UV to come through, thus creating a permanent stable heat shield.
That's so interesting to me. And I see what I also wonder.
I call it Project Greta.
What I also wonder eventually, what would do you think that once we could live on Mars or another planet, maybe Republicans would go to that planet and then we'd be on then we'd stay on Earth?
You know what? I'd be happy to clear them out a 10-mile section of the Mexican border and say, this is all yours, all you fuckers stay there. That was like a dream of mine. Eventually they'd be able to live on Mars or wherever, and we're yeah, all you racist, and if you want the Nazi hike or whatever, you can go to Mars, and we'll stay on this planet over here. We'll stay over here, and you guys stay on your planet. No, man, look, there's a much simpler solution here. All you do is tell them we already have a settlement on Mars, and just shoot them off into space and leave them there.
But that was my dream plan, because you guys could have Trump for the rest of your life until he dies.
Immortal God, Trump is on Mars. Here, get on this space barge. When you see this giant pillar of flame, it's not exploding; it's going into orbit. I
swear. Because I was talking to my friend about that, and she was like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, they say they found water on Mars, and so they're thinking that it could become inhabitable one day." So it's like,
yeah, I saw that too. It was in a movie. It was called Total Recall.
Oh yeah. I wonder if our moon could be inhabitable. So
I mean, if we crash,
Well, a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't think we ever went to the moon, though. So, you know,
A lot of people what?
a lot of people think we never went to the moon.
I mean, you can pull out a telescope and see the flag on it. So.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, a lot of people think we haven't gone to the moon, and a lot of people think that we live in a matrix kind of vortex. That, you know, because, you know, if you go on the weird parts of YouTube where you talk to, I have a lot of conspiracy theory fans. Like, for some reason, I think because I'm so political, I get all the Illuminati crazies that think I'm a witch or think I'm here to turn men. I'm here to. They think I'm a witch or I'm here to turn men gay, etc. But I talk to them sometimes, and they will tell me like all these crazy conspiracies they have. Like they think that we're living like a Sims life, like our life is controlled by aliens, and we are their Sims character. That's what they think.
I think I've heard that before.
Yeah, so like, but they come into my room all the time when like I'm on cam. They're like, "You're a witch! You're a witch! You die!" And like, you know, they warn like the guys like, "She's trying to turn you gay," and like, you know, she's putting a spell on you because I'll dance in my room or whatever. And they call my dancing a Are you still there, Madeline? Okay. But they call my dancing like a spell, like I'm pitting on men through the airways. Like, and they will like literally take pictures of me in motion, and then so my eyes will like catch the light or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, look, she's a lizard person. She's a lizard person. She's a lizard person. She turns into a lizard. Like she'll like it's crazy what they do." But some of them every once in a while will talk to me and be conversational. I think he's in a bad area. I think he's in a bad area, guys. Oh yeah, like that's been happening to me for years, Steven. Years they've been doing that to me. Like um I'll be on webcam and they're like, take a screenshot of me in motion, mind you. So obviously when you're in motion, it's kind of blurry and it kind of like um the light messes up or whatever. And they'll be like, "Oh, look at her. She's a lizard person. She's a lizard." And they're like they're attacking me about turning men gay and witch, like whatever. It's just the craziest stuff that they go on and on about. But that's my fan base. I mean, I get all the crazies. I get the crazy Republicans. I get the crazy um witch crazy witch hunters, I guess is what you call them. Illuminati people. Um that spend money on me for some reason. I don't know why. They seem to hate me, but they spend money on me. It's like, okay, they're sadists. They hate themselves. We must tip the crazy, evil, vile lizard person. Yes, a homegrown vajayjay, which is awesome. I think. I think eventually, it's just gonna be. I think that Republicans and women, not like, obviously left leaning women, but like women that are more conservative, when trans women can start having babies or men can start having babies, because that's what they're working on, you know what I mean? Oh my God, the world's gonna go nuts. The world is gonna go nuts. I can't wait. Now that's gonna be a shit show. But honestly, women have been saying like for years to men, you'll never understand what it's like to have a baby and how hard it is. So women won't be able to use that excuse anymore once men can start carrying babies, or women. And if I was a woman, I'd be like, I don't want the stretch marks, honey. You can carry the baby. That's what I would, if I was the woman in the relationship. Because, I mean, I'm just not maternal like that. I've never been maternal. I'm a great aunt. I'm a good stepmother. But if I could carry a baby, or if I could actually have a baby, oh my goodness, it would not happen. It would not happen. I would be at the abortion clinic tomorrow. It would just not happen. I have no interest in having a big, huge belly, or pushing anything out of me, or cutting into my stomach to take a baby out, or however I'd have to do it. I'm just not interested. Not interested. That just doesn't sound like something I'd want to do. And as far as like having a baby like 24/7, nah, not for me. And it's fine. Like I said, like trans women are not monolithic. Many dream of that. I have so many trans girlfriends that dream of being a mother and wanting to have a baby and wanting to experience birth and um, wanting all of that. And that's great. I just feel like I'm just not that type of person. I'm just not that way. And like my mother would tell me all the time, um, oh, wait till you get older. Wait till you get older. Wait till you get older. You're gonna, because my mom wanted me to have like adopt kids. Like she was all about me adopting kids, getting married. Because she's an old Southern woman. Like that's what she is. She's old school. I didn't get my ears pierced because of my mother. Still haven't done it because she died, and when I was young, and out of respect for my mother, I never got my ears pierced. Never got a tattoo. I never wanted a tattoo, but I never got a tattoo. Um, but the weird thing about my mom was old school about things like that. But as far as being trans goes, no problem. Her issue was ear piercings and tattoos. That was her big issue. Like, I don't think my mom would have had an issue with me doing porn. I don't think my mom would have had an issue with me doing webcam. I don't think my mom would have any issue with any of that. But if I came home with an ear piercing or a tattoo, shit would have hit the fan. So like none of like my sister doesn't have her ears pierced, doesn't have any tattoos. Like it's just a thing in our house. I think it's an old Southern woman thing. I don't know. Like it's don't ruin your skin. So that was like her biggest complaint. But in general, like I feel like a lot of trans women do want all the experiences of a woman because obviously they identify as a woman. So they want the experience of being a mother and being that, having all the gender roles of a woman, or what society says the gender roles of a woman should be. Because unfortunately, when you are a woman that can have babies, you're judged like no tomorrow because if you don't want to have babies, there must be something wrong with you. You know, that's still an issue even today in 2020. When women don't want to have kids, you're an issue. You know, you're weird. There's something wrong with you. Because my sister's, one second, my sister's one of those women. Like my sister, I think it's like me and my sister. We both didn't want to have kids. So like, she's like she's a little bit older than me. She's 40 something, and so she didn't want to have kids. And everyone thinks that she's so weird. You know, I just think we both don't have that maternal instinct. But hello, welcome back. Sorry, I was explaining something about trans women, how they want to, most of them want to do the gender roles of a woman, and I was talking about how like eventually trans women will be almost identical to women because they can have they'll be able to have babies, they'll be able to like they'll have a lab vagina or whatever the case may be that works like a vagina. So there's not going to be that big of difference, which I think a lot of trans men are unhappy. But I always joke that a lot of my Republican fans, the reason they're Republican is because of the fact they're mad at Obama because of the ACA, because the ACA has made it where it's easier for trans women to go post-op, meaning they can get the change.
Yeah, I think they're resentful about it.
Yeah. So I was
that's the one thing they're really conservative about. Don't change it.
Yeah, because like that's the biggest thing. Like whenever men hear a trans porn star is gonna go post op, oh my god, it's the end of the world. And they
You know what? Here's the thing. I would like to think I'm above that. I really would, but I know I'm not.
Because I mean, it is literally the end of the world. Like when Kimber announced, well, she didn't announce it. She came back. Well, that was Kimber's stupidity. Kimber came back. Well, she left for a long time. And then she just popped back up one day, and then she was like, "Oh, I'm post-op," and her fans were like, "What the fuck?" Because they were all paying for her website. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were expecting an update with a penis, and they got an update with a vagina, and so they were not happy. So what did they do to her? They basically took all of her videos and put it online for pirating. And they basically got back at her, and then she never kind of recovered after that because like she tried to OnlyFans recently, and she's tried to kind of come back, and they haven't felt it. So
you know what, like in a sense, like that is fucked up. That is beyond fucked up.
Yeah.
In another sense, I'll tell you because I dated a couple girls who did porn, a couple trans girls who did porn.
Yeah.
And I'll say to you, like I said to them, I mean, number one, I'm a fan of having the option, so I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, but number two, I mean, it's a niche industry. I mean, the thing is, if you go post-op, I mean, if you're trans, you're in a niche.
Right.
You have your spot.
Right.
You know, but if you go post-op, then you're competing with a billion other women who are just out there getting fucked off film.
Yeah. Well.
So I mean.
Well, that's true too, but it's also like it's also like if you don't tell your fans what you're doing, that's a big no-no. Yeah. Like whenever I've had any kind of surgery, even if it's like a nip tuck on my face or my boobs or whatever, if you get laser treatment or anything that will change my appearance, I know fans, like the majority of fans, will be uptight about that because they want to know what you're going to do because that's their fantasy. That's what they jerk off to. So if you change any of that, it ruins their jerk off session or whatever,
I wouldn't know. I only look at pornography with an aesthetic appreciation.
So I always tell like my girls that are in my Kelly's Dream House that work for my can company or whatever. I always tell them like whatever you're going to change anything about your appearance, make sure your fans know, and that so that you don't shock them when you come out and you look totally different in some way,
That even goes to hair color too.
Because a lot of times it's not the change, it's the surprise of it, and it's because they weren't informed, so it makes them mad. Because if you tell them, they're at least prepared for it. You know what I mean? So the blow's not as bad. Because like when I got bigger boobs, at first everyone was really freaked out about it. Because I was like a 34C back in the day, and then now I'm a 34F or whatever. And
really?
yeah, so I'm a lot bigger than I used to be. So like my boobs, boob wise, anyways. So a lot of them weren't happy about it at first, and then because when they first saw them, they were still swollen and they were still not set. They weren't setting well because I just got them. But then when I finally was able to cam, and then they saw them, and like when they were dropping, etc., they're like, oh, okay, you did the right thing, because obviously my boobs before were a lot harder. They were a lot smaller. They were underneath the muscle, but my new boobs are bigger and they're floppier and they're over the muscle, so they're soft and they're supple and they move and whatever. So
are they saline?
no, my new ones are silicone, or my new ones are gummy bear implants or silicone gel. So I've always had silicone gel. I've never done saline because I feel like I've had friends that had saline done and they ripple a lot of times with trans women.
Yeah.
And also I've there's one girlfriend I had that had a female stripper friend. She had saline, and when she jumped, you could hear the water jumping around.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so I was like, nah, I don't want that.
One of my weird dreams in life is I want to build because I invent stuff and I'm sort of an engineer and I build stuff, and I always think about how to build things better. I always wanted to build the perfect implant that was modeled off of the lactic duct and the fat structure. I mean, just to make a perfect synthetic replica of all of the structures inside, so that when you feel it, when you put your hand on it, it is indistinguishable from the real thing.
Right. Well, I think now they're able to, like, if you're a woman anyways, they can there's some kind of genetic way they can make your boobs bigger now. I don't know how they do it, but there's some kind of like, because I know I have a doctor, his name's Dr. Weinswig, and I have a partnership with him where if I send girls to him, he gives me free surgeries and stuff like that, or discounts on like fillers or anything I want, whatever I want, as long as I send girls to him or whatever. So, but he has like some kind of like there's like a new way to make your boobs bigger or augmented, so you don't have to do implants anymore. And then also people are like now doing fat. They're just taking fat from their bodies and putting it into their titties.
That doesn't seem like it would work out though.
Apparently it does, because like my girlfriend did that in porn and she loves them. So, not a trans woman, a female porn star friend.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you got any friends that need it, I need to lose like 40 pounds, so I'm willing to do it.
Well, I think you have to use your own fat. That's the problem. Like, my friends always offered me, because I was like talking about doing like back in the day. I was like, I'm gonna get a butt. I want a bigger butt, and they're like, well, you can have my fat. So.
Yeah, real hard to come by, ain't it?
Yeah, but I don't think I want like the butt like everyone else is doing nowadays. Like everyone's doing the Kim, like everyone wants to become Kim Kardashian. Everyone. What the funny thing is, like, how we go through styles. Like before it was like the skinny, and then it became like a little bit more curvy, but not like totally curvy. And now it's like full on big huge ass. It's got to have a big huge butt, or it's not.
I never got it. I never got the big ass thing. Yeah, I like athletic.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, a big ass is nice if it's muscle.
Yeah.
That's awesome. If it's like nice, smooth, perfectly round and muscle, that's super hot. But not if it's big old jiggly and everything. I don't get that.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of, and I always like meet guys that are like that now. Like they all want the jiggly butt or whatever, and that's huge now. Like, but, and then I always say, like, all these women hating on Kim Kardashian, she kind of made that popular, like, you can hate on them all day, but like, people like even Nicki Minaj, like those women helped BBW girls become more acceptable because.
But Nicki Minaj also, that's not all bad. Like,
well, I know it's not on hers, but I'm just saying in general, like, because of these women that are seen in the media, that's the new beauty. Like, that's the beauty now. Like, and they made it okay. And then you have like Lizzo gets a lot of hate too, but she's actually helping a lot of BBWs get more mainstream. Like, because I'm not saying it's healthy, but if you are a big girl and you can't lose weight, because people have problems, people have addictions to everything. Like, addictions are a problem. And some people are just big bone. They're never gonna be skinny. Like, even if they eat like as healthy as hell, they're never gonna be a size 2. You know what I mean?
So you're telling me I used to be 500 pounds?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like 255 right now, and I used to be 500 pounds. So yeah, you telling me?
Yeah. So I get tired of those people that like fat shame women all the time, because it's like, some of these women are just built bigger. Like, they have bigger hip ratios, they have bigger leg ratios, whatever the case may be. Like, some women just have bigger bottoms, or whatever the case. And you're basically asking them to be anorexic so they can look like a size 2 for you, or a size 0. You know what I mean? Because like that's what I was talking about. Like Jessica Simpson, like when she was a size 4 instead of a size 0, everyone was freaking out. Like when she came out with those mom jeans, like, oh my god, she's so fat, and it's like, no.
No, she looked really good at that size. She looked better than she did when she was 4.
Yeah, so I was just like, but that was the look back in the 90s. You had to be a size 0 or you were nothing. That was the beauty then. And now, if you're not a Kim Kardashian big booty hoe, then you're nothing.
Maybe I'm just.
It works both ways. But yeah, it works. It works both ways.
Yeah, mountains.
So like when I was talking to, there we go.
Yeah.
But like I was talking to my young trans friend, and she's very skinny still, and all the girls in our community are pressuring her to get pumped. That's what they do, because like there being this group, a lot of trans girls that are escorts. Even before Kim Kardashian, because basically, trans women have been doing the big booty hoe look for a long time, like way before Kim Kardashian.
Oh, better at it. It's statistically proven that people who are born genetically male have less cellulite. That is
well, yeah. But I mean, they've been doing the pumping, the silicone pumping, etc. for years.
Yeah.
And now women are doing it. But because like
I don't get it. Okay, maybe I am stuck in the 90s a little bit, because admittedly I am a little. But no, I like the more sort of like athletic look, or like slim or petite or whatever. Like I like the like slightly androgynous even. Like I'm pansexual. I don't have
that's my like happy place as far as like my weight goes. Is like when I'm in my swimmer body. Like, I call it like a swimmer body, like a swimsuit body. Like not Victoria's Secret skinny, but like maybe a Heidi Klum body.
Yeah, that's
nice. When she was like younger, when she was still like modeling, etc.
Yeah, well, she was like a tennis player or a gymnast or something like that. Yeah.
So like
tennis players are good bodies.
That's my happy place. But like a lot of trans girls don't like that, because they think it's too manly. They want big, huge hips, big butt, and then they pressure all these young girls to do the same. And they feel like they have to live up to that status quo.
I think it depends. I mean, it's like, you can be hyper feminine and go over the top. Some guys have feminine proportions too. That doesn't make them female. I mean, I have wide hips for a dude. It doesn't make me a chick.
Well, yeah, that's what I say to them all the time. Because I'm like, a lot of most genetic women don't look like that. Like when I went to like college parties or like high school or whatever. I'm sorry, girls didn't have bodies like Kim Kardashian.
No.
Most of them were either like heavier set, or they had like little teeny tiny bodies like me. So, and they weren't like big huge butts or whatever, unless they were like brown women. But white girls, like, they didn't look like that.
Well, I wonder if that's the thing with trans community, is that I understand like the push to the binary to want to be as feminine as possible. Yeah. Like I totally get that. But the hottest trans girls I ever met were the ones that just had more of an average body type. I always go back to Bailey J. Okay? Bailey J is my two-word response to every guy who thinks he's straight.
Right.
Okay? That is my two-word response. And she has, I mean, you know her better than I do. Obviously, you know her in person. But to me, on film, she's not ultra super curvy feminine. She has more of a sort of average body type. I mean,
well, she is now.
Is she now? I haven't seen her recent stuff.
She's heavier now. Well, she had her. She gained quite a bit of. She gained quite a bit of weight, and then she also had BBL surgery done.
Say what now?
She gained quite a bit of weight, and then she had BBL surgery done. But she's still very thick. She doesn't have the same body type.
Oh, well, I don't know. I guess I'm just referring to what her body type. I'd have to look her up. I haven't seen any of her recent stuff.
I mean, she still looks good. I'm not talking crap about her. I'm just saying that her body is way different than when she started.
You know what's weird is because, like, ever since I've sort of started making friends in the trans community, and I know a lot of girls who are in the industry, like, I have to be careful what videos I watch.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to, I don't, now I remember seeing a couple of years back in the day, but I don't want to, talk to somebody knowing I've seen them naked. Like, I don't want that image to be the first thing in my mind.
Right.
That's weird. Like, I don't even want to see it later.
Right.
But, I'd like to know somebody as a person, as a human. So now I have to be really careful about what videos I watch, because I'm like, oh, shit, do I know her?
Yeah, but I remember what Bailey J you're talking about, like when she first began, or when she first came out. That's what you're talking about.
Who? Bailey?
Bailey, yeah.
Yeah. Like when she was very bright new.
Who's going back to her old look is Serena Valentina.
Oh God, she looks so good back there. Is she going back?
When she was Alexis.
Yeah.
That's kind of the look she had her implants taken out.
She looks really good back. She looks really good back in the day. I mean, she looks
still
good now.
She's still gorgeous, but I mean, but she's kind of like going back to her roots. She took out her implants.
Wow.
She doesn't have the big, huge boobs anymore.
Like, that's good though. I mean, it's like that's what I'm saying. Like, I like the trans girls who look like just normal chicks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just a slightly better than average body type.
Well, that's what my girlfriend Emily and I were talking about. Like, because we're all friends. Like Serena, she lives Emily's from my area, but Emily now lives in Vegas, and so they hang out. And so Emily and I were talking about when she was Alexis. That was when she looked her best, even though Serena's gorgeous all around, but in our opinion, she looked her best when she was Alexis. And I think that she's kind of getting back. She's trying to go back to that look now.
Is she still living in Chicago?
Who? Serena?
Yeah.
She lives in Vegas.
What?
Serena lives in Vegas.
I met her in Chicago.
Oh, she probably was just. She probably was just an event, or she was escorting, traveling.
Yeah, must have been something, because that's where I met her. I met her back. Can't remember if I can remember the name of it, but it's a little club. It's off next to a warehouse. It's behind another club. I don't know. Maybe you know where it is. But it's a trans exclusive club. It's like right in downtown Chicago or Southside.
Right.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so. The Green Dolphin?
It might be it. But
I think it's close. I think that's close now.
Do what?
It's close now.
Yeah, well, there's like a regular bar in front of it. Like when you go to the street, there's like a regular bar in front where just the normies and stuff hang out. And then you go like around the back side of it, and then there's a second door going in the back side to like a larger private area.
Could be soundbar.
I gotta ask Jordan. I don't know if you know her, Jordan Starshark. I gotta ask her. She's a friend of mine. She took me there.
Is it a gay bar?
No, it's just like the front bar is just like a regular bar, and then you go around to the back bar, and it's a trans bar. It's like trans exclusive.
Oh, I didn't know. I don't know.
I gotta ask her. I'll message her and ask her.
I don't think I've ever been.
It's like a little hole in the wall, but that's where I met Serena and a couple other people.
Interesting.
That's faster. Yeah, you might like it. It's probably a little bit below your stature. I'll be totally honest with you.
No, I don't think I've ever been. Like, I don't go to a lot of the dive bars.
Yeah. It's by your standards, I suppose it would be a dive bar.
Well, I'm not saying it's I'm just saying in general. I just don't like. I haven't really frequented the gay bars in Chicago at all. Either.
So say it one time.
And I haven't really frequented the gay bars in Chicago at all either.
Which gay bars? The ones down like Boys Town?
Yeah, I haven't really gone to those.
I've been to Chicago many times. I've never been to Boys Town. Like I always want to go down there just to see it, but unfortunately, I drive a tractor trailer, and it ain't easy getting around Chicago in a truck.
Like when I was clubbing, I would go to like Crowbar. In Chicago, and I would go to like this VIP exclusive place where you could only get in if they knew you, or you had to have like some kind of reputation to get in. I can't think of the name of it. It's so long ago.
Were you famous back then too?
Well, I don't think I was famous. I don't think they thought I was famous. I think they just thought I was a blonde girl and they wanted me younger.
I mean, that's also accurate.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it was just about if they found you attractive, they let you in. But for men, they had to be somebody.
Yeah, I never get into clubs like that. I always have to tip like $100 at the door, then they let me in.
Like the underground was like we went there. Like me and my husband went there, but I can't think of the name of that place.
Next time I come to Chicago, you're gonna have to show me all these places. Because apparently I'm missing everything.
Well, I haven't gone to. I don't really go to bars. The last time I went to a bar was with Emily. We went to like the Baton, and then we went to which is like the big trans drag bar. Famous.
Yeah, I know. I heard of it.
Yeah, we went there because she wanted to see the drag show, and then we went to one gay bar, and it was so packed you couldn't move, so we left. But she didn't. She wanted to see what it's like. 'Cause she's stealth, meaning like she lives a very very female life. No one knows. She works for like a makeup. She's like the head of a makeup place in Vegas. Like the big general manager person. She like oversees all the different mall stores or whatever.
So she just works in the club. She's not like in the industry, the adult industry.
No. She's never worked in the adult industry. She was like totally stealth.
Man, why wasn't I talking to you when I was actually up in Chicago a lot? I could stand to meet your friends.
She was in Ohio. She's in Ohio. She grew up in. But she.
I must have missed that part. Sorry, my phone's still going in and out. It's better than it was, but still going in and out.
Well, she was like the only. Emily is more like the girl that like you have to have like you have to be like a millionaire for her to be interested in you.
Oh, okay, that's definitely me.
Yeah, so she's like, I'm a real housewife material.
Oh no, too rich for my blood. I'm 1,000 Aaron, basically, and barely that.
So
I'm like the poorest person who ever ran for Congress.
Yeah, the guy that she's with now is like a multi-millionaire or something.
I mean, yeah, of course he is.
Yeah, so he's not like older or anything either. So he's like, 40. 40, I think it's 40 years old.
So is that older?
I don't think it's old because I'm 37.
I was gonna ask, because I'm 39, so like that's not cool.
No, but like, I think like 50, 60 is a little old.
You're gonna say that till you're 45.
I know, but I don't think I would date somebody that's 50-year-old.
No, you're gonna keep moving them goalposts. Someone's gonna be 15 years older than you are.
Like, I don't like, for me, like, I don't like to date guys that are like much like older than me. But I also don't like to date men that are younger than me, like much younger than me. So I like to date guys that are like around my age group. Like, I like that my husband and I are the same age. Because I don't know. I don't think I'd be able to. For me, I don't think I'd be able to keep up with like a 24-year-old because he'd want to go to the bar all the time. And then with an old guy, if he's like 50, oh, we have feedback. Are you on like your on your thing? Because we're getting feedback. They're saying.
What?
Are you on your speaker thing?
Yeah. Do you want me to turn it off?
Yeah, because like you're getting feedback.
Am I echoing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hang on. All right. Better.
Yeah. But like for me, when like you're 50 and you're like older than that, maybe if it was like Brad Pitt, he'd be okay.
Yeah, it really depends because like.
But I don't think but in general, I don't think I'd be attracted to somebody that's 50, the typical 50-year-old. Like, I just didn't see myself. Like, because I would never I would never marry somebody for money or whatever. Like, I'm just not like that type. Like, I leave that to my other girlfriends. I'm just not that type. I have to be like physically attracted to you.
Wow, you really took the high road on that one.
Well, I have to be. I'm honest. I'm like 100% honest. If I don't find you attractive, I'm just not gonna even give you the time of day. So like, I've always been that way. And like I'm very picky. Like I like my husband can tell you, like he had to send me a dick picture. He had to send me, like, if his dick didn't pass the inspection, I wasn't gonna meet him. I wasn't gonna spend time on him because I feel like,
brutal.
well, I feel like for me that's important. Like if you have an ugly dick, I don't want to like even give you the like. Why waste your time? I don't feel like that's a waste of time.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, if you're in that business, I mean, just sort of raise your expectations.
So and like, luckily he looked better in person than he did, because I feel like men in general take bad pictures. So luckily,
yes.
he in person looked better because, you know, like he looked good in his picture somewhat, but I didn't think he was like that like great. Like, but when I saw him in person, I was like, oh wow, he's really handsome. But like I'm very blunt, and I just don't. I don't have. I've always been that way. Like I always tell people, like, if you're gonna go on a date with somebody, don't waste your time like being, you know, waiting for 6 months to say exactly what you want. Like I feel like that's why a lot of relationships fell, because of the fact that you're not saying what you want in the relationship and you're acting in a certain way, and then you become a shithead within the 6 months. It happens. Like you put on your best behavior, but in general, men do that to women. I like, from camming and talking to men, they do that a lot. Like they marry like the prude, and then but on the inside they really want like a freak. You know what I mean? And they complain all day. My wife doesn't have sex with me. My wife doesn't do this with me. And it's like, you knew that she was a prude from the beginning, so why would you marry her? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think I'm the other way around.
Well, that's good, because like I think that's why relationships end so much, because they put on, like, a lot of men say they put on like more conservative attitudes for the wife or whatever the case may be, so that they're date them or marry them, and it's just like, why do you hide that side of you? So I just think it's better to be blunt. So that's just who I am. I've always been that way. Like when I go on a first date with somebody, I just ask whatever I want to ask, and I'm very blunt. And if they get offended, they get offended. You know. So
7 1/4 is an 8.
But no, I'm not saying I'm like a size queen. I just don't. I think you have to have a For me, it's about how it looks.
That's the architecture.
Because some penises are very ugly. You know, if you have an uncut penis, it's a no. If your penis looks, for me, if your penis looks like a little oblong or weird looking or curved or whatever, or the crooked, or has, you know, spots on it or whatever the case may be, I'm not interested. I don't want it.
Mine's like a corkscrew, like a pig.
Well, I've seen penises like those, believe it or not, from camming. Not exactly corkscrews, but they do kind of like do that kind of movement. I've seen like L-shaped penises, like literally L-shaped penises on cam.
Well, as long as it's not shaped like a letter of the alphabet or a kitchen utensil, you're pretty much good.
Well, no, not necessarily, because sometimes men have like those, like, you know, Donald Trump's mushroom head penis. Like, I don't want to. I'm not.
God.
I'm not into that either. So like, I'm very particular. But I think I think that's a good thing about the cell phone. Like, I think my girlfriend and I, we say that's the best thing about a cell phone, because at least you know what you're getting, you know, because if you're not, there's no surprises, because like, back in the day you didn't have that option. So like, you would hang out with a guy, talk to him, and then you get to the sex part, and then you would find out, oh, gross, or whatever, or he's really, really small, or whatever the case may be. And it, like, you were like, oh, I wasted all that damn time for nothing. You know what I mean? So that's a good thing about cell phones. Nowadays.
You know what? Like, I'm being all judgy and everything, but I'm gonna be totally straight with you. Be totally real. On the time that I have spent on Grindr, the only picture I asked for was dick pic.
Well, I think everyone does that on Grindr. I really don't hang out on Grindr.
I haven't in years either, but when I did,
But I just don't understand Grindr because like my friend was telling me, like, showed me like the platform or whatever, and I was looking at it. I was like, that's an ugly platform. I think Bumble or Tinder has a much better platform than Grindr does because like a lot of my gay friends have Grindr, and it's like you just have all these like photo after photo after photo after photo people, and you're just supposed to pick out of those photo people, and like you don't swipe or anything, or you don't. I don't understand it. I don't get it. It looks stupid to me.
All right. Okay, maybe you don't understand it, but as a truck driver, okay, as somebody who just goes from city to city and it's like, no, I want to get laid right now. Grindr is like ordering out for pizza. You just see what you want on the menu, you get it.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Like I said, I'm not a Grindr person. I don't know anything about it.
It's just a matter of practicality. Okay, I'm not saying you have to, clearly. But
well, I know that happens because like I have, you know, I obviously have gay friends, and like I feel like whenever I'm out with my friend Cristo, whenever I see him, he's on Grindr and then he disappears. You know what I mean? We'll be out somewhere and I'd be like, "Oh, I gotta go," you know, and I'm like, "Okay, where are you going?" He'll be like, "I'll be back," and but it's always like, "I'll be back in 15 minutes," and I'm like, "Okay." So, yeah. Because I think it's
worth the time to step out.
Well, I think he likes the more straight guys. You know what I mean? He's the typical gay guy. He likes the straight curious guys or the gay curious guys. The straight. Would it be? I never understood that, like the bi curious guy, I guess. But he that's the guys he likes. He likes those guys, and like those guys usually just want to like get a blowjob or whatever, and then like they're done, you know.
Well, the bi-curious guys would be what we used to call, what you would used to call, like, in quotation marks, straight. Where they're straight passing, they look, talk, walk, and act like they're straight, and they like females, but generally speaking. And actually, that pretty much describes me.
I feel like that's a bunch of gem guys too, like gem body guys. Like a lot of guys are like that. Like, when I'm on Instagram, I get so many like bodybuilder guys, like body competition guys that hit me up on Instagram and my DMs. I ignore them, but it's just funny. The guys will hit you up on your DMs and the Instagram, and like it's like, are you stupid? Like most of these trans girls, like no offense to my trans sisters, but if you have some kind of celebrity, any kind of celebrity, because I have like football players that will hit me up in my DMs. It's like if you have any kind of celebrity with a blue check mark, they're going to print screen that and they're going to run to the media, or they're going to expose it because it's going to give them a little bit of, you know, clout. Yeah. And the reason they want the clout is because it puts them in the media, and then they can like charge more for escorting or whatever the case may be. And
well, that's extremely manipulative.
It's manipulative, but you know, it's all you know, all's fair in love and war, I guess. So. But
I just want to say, in my defense, I didn't even know you were famous until like an hour and a half ago.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying in general. That's in general like what I always say to these guys, to these football players that DM me. Like I'll respond to them, and I'm like, "Do you realize?" I'll tell them I'm married. I'm like, "I'm married," but I'm like, "Do you realize if I wasn't married, and if I was most girls like I know many of my girlfriends are. I love them to death, but I know what they're like. If you were texting with them, they're going to save everything that you're saying in this text, and they're going to print screen it. And if you piss them off, or you do anything wrong, or if they want to expose you, they're going to expose your ass." And I'm like, you should probably like message girls from a different account or a fake account at least, because if you have a blue checkmark account, it's going to... You know, I just don't understand it. It's like...
So they would, like, message you all this dirty, nasty shit from their real account?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's dumb.
They send dick pictures and stuff like that.
Wow, that's a good way to get me too.
Yeah. They're just...
Jesus.
I'm like, why don't you do that at least on Snapchat or something? Or I don't know. Like, you know. But then they, like, complain that, like, transsexuals out them. It's like, well, you're basically giving them the, you know, the ammo. So,
well, I mean, also if you're being an asshole afterwards, you're like, oh, you don't want to sleep with me, fine, then you're.
well, they
And
do
then,
that.
oh,
They
okay,
do that.
That's what they.
That's what they do. If you say no to them, they start like they think the high school boy. Like you say no, you're a cunt. You know, whatever. You're a man anyways. That's what they usually say. Well, fine.
I never got that. I've heard you get that all the time. Like I've had trans girls say that all the time. Guys like they'll reject you. Be like, oh, you're a dude anyway.
They do that all the time.
You.
They do that all the time. They're like, you're so beautiful. You're so this. You're so that. And then if you tell them no, then well, fuck you. Then you're a faggot anyways, or you're a man anyways, or whatever they say to you. You know, like, and it's like, well, you're the one that wants to suck my dick. So who's the faggot? Faggot. You know, that's what I say to them.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. And that's what, I mean, I didn't want to say it.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
But that's usually what I say back to them. But then they're like, no. I was just, they're saying like the stupidest comebacks, like I was just teasing, or you know, whatever the case may be.
I was thinking of it as a giant clit.
I was. That's another thing that annoys me about men too, like the trans attracted men. Like when they're like, "Can I suck your clitty?" I'm like, I don't have a clit. Like there's no clit on me, sweetheart. Like if you need to like pretend it's a clit, then you have serious issues. So.
Do they actually use that word in real life? Because I've seen that like on DMs online. Like clitties, people say that.
Oh yeah, they say it in your cam chat room all the time. Like, let me see your girl clitty. Or they're saying, what else do they say? They say like the stupidest shit. They say like, your girl dick. What else do they say?
I think society is still kind of figuring out that paradigm. I'll be totally honest with you.
Well, but I think the problem is like a lot of people do use that too in the gamer world. And the leftist crowds, the non-binary crowds, like the Vosh crowd and the gamer world, they say girl dick. So I think a lot of men pick it up from them too. So like they hear it from one side and they're like, oh, I guess it's what you say.
Yeah, they do. So I have heard that.
Yeah, because they're like, well, I thought you said you like, these girls said they like girl dick. And I'm like, I think that's so stupid sounding. Or they're like, this is my lady dick. And I'm like, I'm just like, what is this about? And it's like usually, but the people that usually say that, no offense to them, are usually like the most manliest looking trans woman that you could find. Like, you know, like Harry Potter girl or Henrietta girl. And they'll be like, this is my lady, you know, but they won't be like, they'll be like, this is my lady dick or whatever with a deep voice, you know. And I'm just like, okay, sweetheart, that's your lady dick. Because I don't know trans women that really say that. Like none of my trans girlfriends say that. I don't know any that say that. No, I mean, they say it for dirty talk for men on cam, but like in their personal life, Aaron, they don't say that. I don't know any girls that say that in their personal life. They say it for like guys on a webcam show, but they're not gonna say, "Oh, suck my lady dick." You know, they don't say that. I don't know any girls that do. So
that would be weird if I heard one who did.
Well, I mean, they do that on cam and stuff. Like because I have a chat room in my chat. So like when we're talking and they can hear both of us and the radio show, they're chatting, and then I'm also looking at Twitter. And I'm looking at Facebook, because some people are talking through Facebook, some people are talking through Twitter, and whatever. I try to pay attention. But, yeah, it's a cock. Like, to me, like, I just say it's a cock, dude. It's a cock. Get over it, you know. Because I feel like once they deal with the issue, then it's easier for them. Like, I feel like they need to get over the threshold. A lot of them do. Because when those men scare me. Like when they're still like, they can't even accept that they're sucking a cock, or they're playing with a cock or whatever. Like if it's a trans girl that's wanting that because it makes her feel comfortable, then fine. You know, that's great. But if it's not, and it's because of you, that you feel like you're uncomfortable and you have to use that, then then that's a problem. It's a problem for me because I'm not one of those girls that need you to use PC wording for my body parts,
Right.
you know?
Can't babysit someone else's insecurities.
Yeah. And so, because I feel like that's a lot of times why men are violent. A lot of men are violent towards trans women because they never deal with what they're attracted to. You know, they never get over that threshold of accepting who they are. Because a lot of them hate themselves. They don't hate the trans woman, they hate what they're attracted to because they're worried about what society judges them. Society is judging me.
That's typical of like self-loathing homophobia.
Yeah, basically, because it's, you know, like so many of my girlfriends, like from the 90s till now, have been either beaten or killed by their lovers, you know. Several of my girlfriends have been killed by long-term lovers that you think that were totally fine with you being trans, and then they throw you off a balcony or whatever they do, you know.
I wonder how much of that is trans-specific violence, or how much of that is just guys tend to murder women.
Well, I think it was because a lot of times what happened is, well, with one particularly, you know, everything was great and dandy. Everything was great until he got too confident, and meaning, like, you know, he was like, okay, I love this woman. I'm going to introduce her to my family. All right. So they introduced him to the family. And then obviously the family pushed back. The mother was, you know, not as transphobic, but the father was definitely transphobic. And he was very upset and, you know, going crazy, and it's a big old drama fest. And for him, he was always the golden child, I guess. He was like, you know, the football star and whatever else he was for his dad, and I think when he got rejected by his father, that made him go a little crazy, and he took it out on her because she was the blame for it, and she obviously got the brunt, and off the balcony she went. So,
do you think that might be? I mean, because obviously every person is trans.
You're breaking up. Well, I think that in general, like, misogyny is, or the patriarchy, I should say, has affected everybody. Not just, oops, sorry. He lost me. He's in the mountains. But I was going to say, like, I think the patriarchy has affected everybody. I was going to say, I think the patriarchy has affected everybody, not just women. Although women make it all about them most of the time. But I think that what it is to be a man is... Oops, sorry. I was going to say, what it is to be a man is just as toxic to men as it is to women, because a lot of men feel like they have to live up to a certain standard of what a man is supposed to be. And if you don't live up to that certain standard, then you're not manly enough, and you're not good enough. You're not living your best life. So when men feel like they're losing, or they're not living up to those standards, it bothers them to no end. They overcompensate. That's why there's so many beta males. That's why there's so many insecure men. In general, and I think that a lot of times women forget that. But it's also women contribute to that, because a lot of times women will think a man is gay if he's too pretty, or if he's not that manly man they think he needs to be, if he comes off a little soft-spoken, if he comes off a little shy, if he comes off a little submissive, then he must be gay, or he must not be manly enough. And so women contribute to it too themselves. So yeah, I think the patriarchy and male and women roles have done damaging stuff. So I can understand why people are saying, "Well, I don't want to be either male or female. I don't want to deal with the social constructs of what gender is." So I can understand why people are non-binary for that reason, or if, or co-opt to that of being non-binary because they want to what would I say to that? They want to not adopt that harmful I don't want to say behavior. I want to say the harmful effect that happens because of the patriarchy to the mindset of both men and women. So I can understand why a lot of people are like, well, I want to start a gender war, and I want to fight the patriarchy, and I want to fight the gender construct because the gender construct is dangerous. But I don't think you need to take it that far. I think you can just call it out and say the patriarchy is making me live or making me want to feel like I have to act a certain way, and this is who I am. I'm not a big burly, scratch my balls, loud mouth, I like to go to strip club, etc., muscle guy, or whatever the case may be, whatever women think is manly. This is me. I am a more calm, rational, shy, effeminate guy, but I like women, you know, or whatever the case may be. Like, because a lot of times women will think that those men are gay. So I think that women do contribute to a lot of the time men having to act as overly masculine, overly misogynistic even, because sometimes women like those kind of men, the men that are cocky and the men that are dickheads, that are misogynistic. You find a lot of women will gravitate towards those men, even though they hate I hate those type of men, but at the same time, those are the men that they will attract to. So the incel men think that if they act that way, that women will gravitate towards it, and some do and some don't. But you know, some women do, so they feel like they feel like they're gaming the system with dating. You know what I mean? Exactly. Love shouldn't hurt, Jade, but it does. So, but I think that in general, uh, we don't have to like totally like, get rid of the gender binary. We just have to call out the harmful effects of it, and allow people to act how they want to act. I don't think you need to like go as far as putting a dress on to be provocative, or put makeup on and a glitter beard to be provocative, or to be a provocateur, to send the message that you're going against a gender construct. You can just be yourself, because I feel like a lot of times not all of them are trying to be non-binary, or they're not being authentically who they are. They're just being provocateurs. Like they might be effeminate straight men or effeminate men in general, but they're going a little bit farther to push the buttons or to bring a little bit of a shock as a protest. You know what I mean? So I just think that we need to allow men to be effeminate or not the stereotypical what men is supposed to be, and that's okay. You don't have to be a beer guzzling, scratch my balls, whatever. You know, I go to strip clubs. I like to ogle women, and you can be a classical pinky while you drink out kind of guy, and you're just as manly as the next guy. That's the problem. I think we go too extreme on a lot of things, and we're provocateurs to go against the status quo and go against the system, if you will. So, but I think I'm going to go to bed. I think we had a great conversation tonight, from Bernie to Warren to trans stuff to dating to whatever the case may be. It was a long conversation, and thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you guys on Monday. I agree, Jade. I totally agree that not men don't have to be macho all the time. And I think that women need to start saying that to men as a whole. They need to stop shaming men and telling men, hey, you don't need to overact. You don't need to do this. You can be whatever you want to be. You can be feminine if you want to be. It's okay to cry. It's okay to show emotion. It's okay to not be the strong one all the time, not being the one that everyone needs to rely on. Because men are taught to be that, Men are taught to be the strong one. Men are taught to be the relier, someone to be relied on. Women are taught to be the relier, men are taught to be the one that's relied on. We just have to unteach ourselves those behaviors. And we have to allow it to happen. And women need to be encouraging rather than just so blatantly hateful. I'm always trying to be encouraging to trans attracted men, even though if they get it fucked up and they say stupid things and they fetishize, etc., etc. I've dated many of those guys and turned them into boyfriends. I've turned them into long-term relationships. I've turned them into... So men can change and men can learn and men can listen and men are better than you think they are. We just have to give them a chance to. We have to encourage them, and we have to break the system just like we've had to break the system of the patriarchy. And we don't have to be provocateurs to do that. We don't have to be rude to do that. We don't have to be hateful to do that. So, but yes, thank you guys for tuning in. I will see everyone on Monday. We're going to be having a sex show on Monday. It's going to be all about sex and tips and tricks and all my little knowledge from my mother, who was, a sex therapist, and stuff I learned through my life, through the sex world, and through just everyday having sex with men. And we are going to be talking about all things sex. So if you guys have any questions that you would like me to answer on air, please at me those. Please let me know, and I will definitely try to get to those during the show. Remember, you guys can sign up through Spreaker.com or Secret Kelly Radio, SecretKellyRadio.com, and you can sign up for your own name. And when I'm live on the air, you can come in and chat in the room, and I can see what you say. And I do interact with my chat room. I try to as much as possible. If you are interested, of course. But thank you guys, and I will see you guys on Monday. My voice was going dry. Bye.